Okay, before we get into the yoga mat bag itself, let's do a really quick tutorial or review for those who are new to crochet or maybe forgot some things. So here's your crochet hook, and there are two ways people typically hold them. This is called the knife hold. So it's like you could saw a piece of meat, right, if this were a knife. The other is pencil hold. As you see me, I use knife hold, but you can use either, whichever one you're more comfortable with. All right. Another thing is holding yarn. So the way I do it is it's going to go between my pinky and ring finger from the back of my hand side, right? It's going to cross my ring finger and middle finger on the palm side and go around my index finger. I'm going to hold my yarn and my work between my thumb and my middle finger. One of the biggest things people have, one of the biggest problems new crocheters have, is remembering to hold their work all the time. A lot of times they let go and things get twisted. All right, we're only going to use a few stitches for this. The first thing I'm going to show you is a slip knot. So I take my yarn, fold it in half, give it a good twist, fold it over, and grab the yarn going back to the ball of yarn and pull it through for a slip knot. Okay. There are only 3 crochet stitches in this whole pattern. They're going to be a chain stitch, slip stitch, and single crochet. So let's look at chain stitch really quickly. Again, I've got my yarn. You can hold yarn however it works for you. Make sure we always keep a hold of our project. I hold where I'm working between my thumb and middle finger. So to chain, we're going to take our hook, go under, wrap it around. Helps if you twist your hand here so that the open part of the hook is facing down and pull it through the loop on the hook. All right, let's try it again. Under, wrap it around, twist, pointing down, pull it through. And then move your fingers as you need to as you work. All right, chain stitch, we've got it. So the next one we need to know is a single crochet. So I'm going to start in the second chain from my hook because if I go into the first one, I'm just going to undo it. We're going to poke through, wrap around, pull through just that row below, wrap around, pull through 2. Okay? Poke it through, wrap around, grab that yarn, pull it through that row, wrap around, pull through both loops on the hook. Poke, wrap and pull through 1, wrap and pull through 2. Right? I'm going to finish this row just to show you something. So we finish this up. I should have also pointed out a chain stitch looks like a row of interlocking V's. You'll just have to take my word for it at this point. So here I finished a row of chain stitches, and you'll see the top of, or not chain stitches. Here I finished a row of single crochets. The top of the single crochets looks like a chain stitch, so we have these interlocking V's. Okay? When we go to do our next round of single crochets, I'm going to chain 1 just to bring it up to height, but we're going to go in this first one. I want to go under both parts of the V that you see from the top. All right? So poke it through your single crochet in the row below. You're going to see 2 things on top. We're going to wrap around, pull through both of those that make up the row below. Wrap around, pull through 2. All right, So I think we have a handle on those single crochets. The last stitch we need to know for this project is a slip stitch. Let me just get this last single crochet in here. And we'll move up a row, we'll work on some slip stitches. Okay, to slip stitch, you're gonna poke it through whatever you're connecting, slip stitching. We're gonna wrap the yarn around just like we did for chain stitches and single crochets. But we're gonna pull it through the row below or the 2 stitches you're connecting and through the one on the hook. So you see it doesn't really make any height. I'm wrapping and pulling through everything all at once. These are slip stitches. Wrap, pull through, pull through. It's often used to join the end of a row to the beginning when we're working in a round, which is how we'll use it in our project. So if I wanted to, I could slip stitch this first to this last, right? I could slip stitch over back to this beginning part to connect. Okay, so slip stitch pulls through everything all at once, right? And those are all the stitches you'll need to know for this project. All right, enjoy. Today we'll be crocheting a mesh yoga mat bag similar to this. Here are all the materials you're going to need. Going to need cotton yarn, about 4 ounces, a scissors, a crochet hook. This is a US size H, it's not going to, there it is, H, 5 millimeters, a yarn needle, and optional are stitch markers. All right. To get started, we're just going to need the yarn and the hook. I'm going to start by putting a slip knot into the end of your yarn. Leave about 4 or 5 inches to sew under later. We're going to make a slip knot. I do it by folding the yarn over, so twisting, pinch, twist, fold, and pull through. See? If you've never done that before, let's review it one more time. So I pinch the yarn, twist it, fold it over the long part, and pull that up through. Right? Grab your hook. Let's put it in our slip knot. Snug it down a bit. We're going to start by crocheting 2 chains, and let's make this first one kind of loose. Okay, 1, 2. Then we're going to put 6 single crochets in the second chain from the hook. There's 1, poke it through, grab your yarn, pull it through, grab your yarn, pull it through, 2. There's 2, 3, 4, 5. I split the yarn a little bit there. There we go. And 6. It's one thing you have to watch out for with cotton yarns. A lot of them split pretty easily. All right. And then we are going to slip stitch back into the first chain, or first single crochet to join. And depending on how tight you are, and that can be a little tricky, but we're going to pull it through. Ooh, let's do that again. I split the yarn. It happens. All right, wrap it around, pull it all the way through that stitch and the loop. All right, so that is our first round complete. Second round, we're going to start with a chain 1. We are not going to count that as our single crochet. And we are going to go in that same stitch that we're already in. We're going to make 2 single crochets. And we are going to put 2 single crochets in every stitch all the way around. Now, if you like stitch markers because you get a little confused about where things are, it's perfectly normal. Because there's our chain 1 we did to get up to height. Here is our first single crochet. So you might want to mark that first single crochet, just so you know where we're aiming for. All right, so let's complete our 2 single crochets in each stitch all the way around. So you should end up with a total of 12. Remember the great thing about crochet, if you mess up, you just take your hook out, pull on that little tail, and you can take it back to wherever your mistake was pretty easily. All right, so it looks like there's sort of another stitch here, but that's really our slip stitch from the round before. If we check, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 stitches. So we are good. And then I just need a slip stitch back to where that stitch marker is. I'm going to take the stitch marker out at this point. You know, you'd think I would do this a little looser, but no. All right, so we get that through, wrap it around, pull it through this one as well. Boom, 2 rounds complete. Okay, let's go for round 3. We're going to chain 1, make our first single crochet right here. Right in that same stitch. Now our pattern gets a little different. So we're going to have 1 there, 2, 1, 2, all the way around. You'll end up with 18 stitches this time. And we should end with a 2 stitches in 1. Right. So there is my round 3. Let's just count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. All right, and then slip stitch back to this original to join. I like sound effects. All right, there we go. All right, our next round, we're gonna chain that one. We're gonna put one single crochet in that same stitch we're already in. Trying to make it a little looser to make my life a little easier. Okay. And we're going to single crochet in the next one. And then we're going to put 2 single crochets in the third. We're going to continue just like that all the way around. Single, single, double, single, single, double. Not double crochet, double as in 2 in one spot. Sorry, I should be more specific. Just doing single crochets today. And some chain stitches and slip stitches. So if I do this correctly, I'll end up with 24 single crochets in that round. Okay, and so when we're counting, I'm looking at these, I should have pointed this out earlier, but I'm looking at these little V's at the top. 4. So 24, we're good to go on that round. Just going to join with our slip stitch. So let's head into round 5. We're going to chain 1, single crochet in that same stitch, single crochet again in the next stitch, and one more time in the third stitch. And then we're going to do 2 in the fourth stitch. So single, 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 2 singles. All the way around. All right, we're almost to the end of this round. Of course, you may not crochet at the same pace as me. Don't feel frustrated. You can always just pause the video, do your thing, and then start the video again when you are at that same spot. All right, so that was round 5. Let's check out our stitch count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Perfect. It's always going to be multiples of 6 for this project. We'll slip stitch to join. All right, let's head into round 6. Chain 1, single crochet in the same spot, single crochet in the next single crochet, single crochet in the next single crochet. So we have 1, 2, 3. Let's do a 4th. All right, and then in the 5th single crochet, we're going to put 2 single crochets. So 4 singles and then 2 singles and 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2. One, 2, 3, 4, 2. So I'm just counting out loud right now so you can see what process happens in my brain when I'm crocheting. 1, 2, get a little tangle in. Oh, got quite a tangle. That happens. It's okay. It's not really a knot. It just comes undone. See where I am now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Grab myself some more yarn. Working off of a cone. I don't have anything to spin my cone around. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2. Now let's double check. We should have 36 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. We are good to go. Let's close up this round. Remember to do it in the first single crochet and skip that little chain 1 back there. All right, so round 7, we're going to chain 1, single crochet in that same stitch, single crochet in the next stitch, and the next, and the next, and again. So we have 5 in a row that are just singles and singles. And then we go to our double, or our 2 single crochets in 1. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 2. Keep going all the way around. You can hear my puppy coming to see what I'm doing. And you should end your round with 2 in 1 stitch. Right? So count yours. There should be 42 in that round 7. And then join with a slip stitch. Okay. You probably guess what's going to happen here in round 8. We're going to chain 1. We're going to make our first single crochet in that same stitch. We are going to make 6 single crochets across. And then 2 single crochets in 1 single crochet. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 2. Let's keep going all the way around. Wow. I got my yarn a little. I like showing you the mistakes. You can see I'm human too. Right? There we go. I feel like cotton yarn really likes to grab itself. It likes to stick to itself. All right. So count your stitches. It was round 8, so there should be 48 stitches, 48 single crochets. If you have a hard time counting these when we get larger numbers, feel free to use your stitch markers and count out like 10, mark it, 10, mark it, to make it a little easier to count. Okay. Once you've made sure you have the right number, we're going to slip stitch to join. And then we're going to head into round 9. Now, round 9 is optional. Okay? I need you to take what you have so far and compare it to the bottom of your yoga mat. You want it to be just a little bit bigger than the bottom of your yoga mat. I crochet not necessarily tight, but tighter than a lot of people. I call it nice and even. So if you crochet looser, your bottom is probably big enough for your yoga mat bag. If you crochet a little on the tighter side, you may need another round, or if your yoga mat is a really large yoga mat, you might also, like a thicker mat, need a bigger base. So I'm going to do round 9 because I know from experience I need that 9th round with the tension that I have. So same thing, right? I'm going to chain 1, do my 1 single crochet in that same stitch. This time I'm going to do 7 singles and singles and then my double. All right, you should have 54 single crochets around if you did that optional round with me, and we'll slip stitch to join. Now we're going to keep working, so don't fasten your yarn off. That finished our base, so that's the bottom of our yoga mat bag. We're going to start working up into the walls of our, or the sides of our mat bag. This one's going to get a little tricky, so we're going to work a little differently. We're going to start with our chain 1, but then we are going to go through the back loop, right? If we look at we have a front loop and a back loop when we're holding things, right? At the top, we're going to go through the back loop and this little bar. And that is going to help us turn our sides upward, but have a sturdy connection between the base and the sides. Sometimes it goes back loop only, but that part gets really stretched out. So we're going to go into the back loop and then look on the back. There's this little bar right underneath it. Do you see all those little bars? Let's take a closer look at it quickly. Let me finish that stitch. All right. So when we look at the back side of our work, here's the back of the top loop. And then right under it, there's always a shorter bar or shorter one that goes horizontally as well. So we're going through that and that. We have to look at it from the front side of our work. So back loop and bar. Right? Keep going all the way around, single stitches in that back loop and bar, and that last one I did wrong. Whew. Recording, talking, and crocheting at the same time. Bam. All right, so keep going all the way around, and I'll meet you again when we come to the join. So pause the video, finish that round, and we'll meet up. Okay, so I've made it all the way around, crocheting in the back loop and bar. You'll see it makes a little ridge right there. That's where it turns up from the bottom, starts coming up the side. Right? So let's slip stitch to join. You can count your single crochets. If you did the 9 rows, you did the optional row, you'll have 54 single crochets. If you stopped at round 8 with the base, you'll have 48. Okay. We'll slip stitch to join. Now rounds 2 through 5 on the sides are going to be super simple. We're going to chain our 1 to start. That one does not count as a single crochet, just like it didn't earlier. We're going to single crochet in this first one, and then all the way around. So this is going to be round 2. When we get all the way around, we'll slip stitch to join, chain 1. So we're now doing it normally. Through the stitch, you'll see that V on the top. No more trying to get into that tricky bar on the back side. Right, so rounds 2, 3, 4, and 5 are all the same. You can really get into your groove. Just single crochet all the way around, slip stitch to join, so we can keep track of where we are and keep our rounds even. All right. Pause the video here. Keep crocheting rounds 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I'll meet you again as we finish up round 5. All right. So welcome back. We finished up those rows of single crochet. Let's slip stitch to join if you haven't already. And here's where it's going to get a little different. So we're going to do the whole first side of the mesh part together, and then I'll set you loose, all right? So from here, I just want you to chain 3. We're not going to do a single crochet here, just chain 3. And then we're going to skip 2 single crochets down here, and we're going to single crochet in that third one. Okay? And you're going to chain 5, skip 3 single crochets, single crochet in the next one, and on. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, skipping 3, 1, 2, 3. We're going to single crochet in that next one. We're going to ask my yarn what it's doing. It's not slipping through, so I'm going to change how I'm holding it. Chain 5. Skip 3 and single crochet in the next one. Keep going till you get around to the beginning, and then we'll talk about what to do. Right, we're getting to the meaty part of the project in terms of the amount of time it's going to take and how much of the project is that part, right? Woo. Wow. Having some issues there. This is my first time recording and trying to crochet at the same time. It's a little awkward. You see, I try to keep my thumb near where I'm working. Just not used to doing it on top of the table with a camera in between me and my work. You'll have to let me know how I did. Can you follow this? Would you like to see more crocheting videos? Alright, so it's going to be a little different depending on whether you did the 54 or the 48, but you'll see I've come near the end. I don't have enough space to do another chain 5, skip 3, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to chain 5, and I'm going to single crochet in this chain 3 space we made at the beginning. All right, we are going to start working, instead of working in rounds, we're going to start working in the round or continuously. I guess this is in the round, but we're going to start doing continuous rounds instead of joined rounds. Because with the mesh part, it just doesn't matter that much. I like to keep these nice and lined up. It is possible to do these as continuous rounds, but since I created this as a beginner project, I wanted to make sure you had practice joining rounds and making sure you had the same stitch count in each round, right? So back to the mesh part. So chain 5, single crochet in this chain 3. We're going to chain 5 again. And then single crochet in the next chain 5 loop. You don't have to put it in any specific stitch, just dive under that whole loop, all right? And keep going. This is going to be what we're doing for the majority of the project. This part may take you a couple hours, so I will not film it all. I'm going to send you to do, tongue-tied. I'm going to send you to do your crochet homework. So we no longer have to worry about counting stitches in the round, like how many are in the whole round. We're still going to count as we do our chain 5s, right? But you don't need to see how many are in the round. You don't need to worry about which row you're on, which round you're on. We're just going to continue with this chain 5, single crochet in the next chain 5 loop. Okay? Keep going and going and going and going. We want to build these mesh sides up. We want to build the whole side up until it is about 2 to 3 inches shorter than your yoga mat. Now you're probably asking, why on earth am I crocheting it shorter than my yoga mat? And I will show and tell you why. So once we put our little mat in our bag, these sides are going to stretch, right, as we pull them up. So, and you shove your bag in and there's weight in there, they're going to elongate. So it's a little bit shorter. Here's another one of these bags that I have done to show you. So as we crochet, it looks all neat and tidy, and then when we put our bag in it, right, it's gonna go like this a bit. So I want you to stop when your mesh is about 2 to 3 inches shorter than the width of your yoga mat or the height of your yoga mat when it's rolled up. And then I want you to put your yoga mat in your nearly completed bag and see if you need to crochet anymore or if it comes all the way just over the top once you put your mat in. All right, so chaining 5, single crochet, keep going till it's about the length you need. Test it, see if it's the height you need. If it's not, you can add some more rounds. If it is, perfect, pause there and I'll show you how we are going to do the top rim of our bag. All right, happy crocheting, and come on back when you're ready at that point. It'll probably take you 2 to 3 hours to get there, right? Doodles! Okay, so now we've got the mesh portion as long as we need to fit a yoga mat once we stretch it a little. So what happens next? Okay, so we're going to finish up this mesh portion by chaining 3 and single crocheting in the next chain 5 space. That means your stitch is going to be more to one side than in the middle, and that's exactly what we're looking for. So here we have 1 single crochet. We're going to put 3 more in this chain 5 space for a total of 4. All right? There they are. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then just put 4 single crochets in each chain 5 space all the way around. You're going to skip the single crochets from the row below. It's just 4 single crochets in each chain 5 space. Okay. So we'll do that together. You might be able to hear my dog snuffling around, walking in the background. He thinks he is attention deprived because I am crocheting instead of petting him. Okay, just gonna flip my bag around here so I can keep working. All right, so now I've made it around to that chain 3 space. I'm only going to put 2 single crochets in there. Okay, let's put 1, 2, and then I'm going to slip stitch to my beginning single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's right there. Oh, there we go. Slip stitch. I can do this. Boom. Okay. Then I'm going to chain 1 to bring it up to height. That does not count as a single crochet, so I'm going to go in that same space where we did the slip stitch. Do a single crochet there. And single crochet in each single crochet all the way around. So this is the rim portion of our bag. I don't think I said that earlier. You keep seeing me reach away and pull more yarn off of the cone. It's because I am working off of a cone. I really prefer working out of a skein and center pulling, but this yarn, I happen to buy a big cone of it. I often work with the cone on the floor so I can just let the yarn kind of spool off up to my work area, up to my project. But that does not work for recording and doing this at the same time. Okay. I made it all the way around, and I know, again, I've probably said this before, it looks like there's another stitch, but that is actually part of the slip stitch that connected the previous round, and we've already gone into that stitch over here. So we're going to connect with a slip stitch to the first single crochet in that round. Right, and we're going to make our rim just a little bit taller or bigger. So we're going to go around one more time, just like we did. One more round of single crochets. So chain one to bring it up to height. We're going to start in that same stitch with our first single crochet all the way around. Now my dog is snoring. I've made it to the end of my third row of rim. I'm just going to slip stitch this together. Boom. And then we can actually fasten this off. So I don't need to pull up a big loop. I'm just going to pull up a loop so I don't lose it. Grab my scissors. And cut it off, leaving myself plenty to sew the end under. So I'm going to pull it through the loop and pull it tight. I know that's not necessarily the prettiest way to fasten off, but it is a very secure method of fastening off. Right? So we've got the whole bag. And I'm going to put that aside for a minute. Let's talk about the strap now. Okay. So we're going to start with our brain is leaving me today. We're going to start with a slip knot. So I have folded it over, pinched, twist it, go back, pull through the yarn heading to the ball, pull it tight. All right, easy enough. Let's put the hook on there. And then we are going to chain. It's going to depend on you a little bit, but you need it to be a little more than twice the length of your bag. Okay? For me, that turned out to be about 230 chains. So here we go. There's 1, 2. I'm not going to make you watch me chain them all. So head off, make your 200 and whatever chains it takes for you to make about twice the length of your bag, right? So from top to bottom, twice, and then a few extra inches, all right? Okay, pause the video and I'll see you when we've got those chains done. Okay, now that you've got your chain ready for the bag strap, we're going to single crochet back down the chain. So we're going to skip the first one, go into the second one. I'm going to show you 2 different options. One, we can just go back down the chain like we normally would. So we find not the one next to the hook, but the one after that to start. We'll poke it through just the top part of that V you see. Pull through once, pull through twice, right? Standard single crochet action all the way down. If you're new to crochet, that is the way I'm going to recommend. If this has all been pretty easy or you're slightly more experienced, the other way we can do this, we're still going to do single crochets all the way down, but we can flip it and look at the back side of the chain. Right, so here's the front side where we have our cute little interlocking V's. See if we can get that a little closer to the camera. But we can go onto the back side, and you see how there's these bumps. We can crochet into the bumps, right? So we're skipping the first one. It's a little stretched from doing it the regular way. But here's our second bump. We're going to go under this bump and put our single crochet in there. The bonus to doing it that way is that you will have little V's on the bottom and V's on the top. Right? This way is a little more tedious, I find, than poking it through here, because those bumps are just tongue-tied. Those bumps are just a little bit harder to get into than putting it through the V's. So your choice, whether you want your single crochets to go in the V's or in the bumps, right? So work your single crochets all the way down I'm going to go in the V's. Work your single crochets all the way down, starting at that second one. And I'll see you after that so we can get this all put together. Right? Happy crocheting. Okay, so we have single crocheted all the way down our chain. Now we're going to fasten this one off in that same secure method, leaving yourself a pretty long tail for sewing this securely onto your bag. Okay, so we're going to take the long tail, pull it through the loop. All right, so we've got the bag, we've got the strap, we've got a bunch of loose ends. So let's get this all neatened up and put together. To do this, let's grab our favorite yarn needle and maybe a stitch marker. Okay, the stitch marker will show you a trick. We need to thread this onto the needle, and that can sometimes be difficult. There's several tricks. Some people just like to spit on it, right, and flatten this out and put it through. You can fold your yarn over. Usually I have to kind of flatten it out like that, spreading the individual fibers, yarns, inside the yarn. And then you wiggle it through. Boom. And then I'm going to show you one other method. You can use your stitch marker. So you poke your stitch marker through and then put the yarn through the stitch marker, because that is a big hole to aim for, and then you pull that through. All right, so use whatever method works for you, and we are going to sew the ends under. So this one we're mostly doing, it's not really gonna hold any weight, we're just doing it to make it pretty and so that the end doesn't come unraveled. So I try to follow kind of where things already are so that it is hidden. But you do you. Recently I saw somebody who said they split the yarn when they sewed. They purposely split the yarn when they sew ends under. I purposely avoid splitting the yarn. I get how maybe it would secure itself a little better if you split the yarn, but I don't know. When I accidentally do it, I see it, so I feel like I'd be more likely to see it and be annoyed by it if I did that. If you have a favorite method, let me know. It does also help to zigzag, like going from one layer to another, or making it go one direction and then back another direction, just to be pretty secure. Like I said, there's not really going to be any tension on that end, so this is mostly just to make it pretty. I'm just going to do a little bit more, heading back this way. All right. When you feel like you've secured enough under, a couple inches, you can go ahead, snip that right next to your project. We can get rid of that. All right, and then there's one on the inside bottom. So I'm going to flip this inside out to get to it. There it is. And because we started with that chain 2 and then going into the second chain, we started with a slip stitch and then the chain 2, going into the second chain. It's pretty secure. So again, we're just kind of trying to hide this end and making sure that there's no way the knot in the slip stitch can come undone. Some of you who might crochet more might be familiar with magic circles, magic rings, magic loops. I don't use them. I try to avoid at any cost because they are just not as secure. There are ways to make them secure, usually involving tying knots. But there will be some tension on that center hole. Not as much as if you were doing some other projects, but we just want it to be nice and secure. Also, I wanted to make this project as simple as possible for people who are brand new to crocheting. So again, just kind of going with the natural flow of things, but zigging and zagging a little bit to really secure this in. I can do this. I have one last place I want to go. Under there, up through a couple of these. Boom. I think that's going to be the end of me. So, disappears. I'm going to trim that. Now life is going to be a little different for the strap. I'm going to adhere my strap or sew my strap on at that place where we have a seam, right? Because we did our chain ones and went up and made even rows, there's a little bit of a seam right here. And I'm going to attach my straps near that seam. So probably right here, 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 and here. Okay. So to do that, I'm going to grab my strap. I like to have the right side facing out, so that's the right side of the single crochets. This is technically, we call it the wrong side. So it looks like little bars, 2 bars at the top with 2 little legs coming down, kind of like a pi symbol. Pi symbol? No, it's a different symbol. Anyway, if you know what that symbol is called, put it in the chat if you have an idea of what on earth I'm talking about. The front side just looks like one bar and 2 legs. Okay, so you can turn yours however you like. I'm going to thread my needle again. Okay, and I need to secure this whole piece of strap on with this side of the yarn. This side of the yarn, this tail, I'm going to use to secure the second end of the strap, which doesn't have any tails. Okay, so I've chosen, I'm going right here. I'm going to go under. I want more than just this loop-de-loop because I don't feel like that is very secure, so I'm going to go through there just so I get a little bit more to grab onto. So however you want to do it, there's no super right or wrong way here to secure this on. Just as long as you are happy with it, it's secure and won't come undone. I do feel like I didn't leave myself quite as long of a tail on this as I would have liked, but we'll make it work. So I want to end with the tail on the inside of my bag. And I'm just going to pull the needle off. We're going to leave that tail there for now. Okay, we're going to follow this up. I'm going to try to keep my bag kind of straight and flat. Just so I'm attaching relatively straight up from where I'm attaching on the bottom. So I'm just going to line this up till it comes up to the top of my bag. And I'm going to thread this into there. Okay. Now at some point you are going to run into that chain 3, the smaller one you have in that top row of mesh. You can choose to use it or choose to jump over it. If you use it, just know that's going to be a slightly tighter place to pull through. If you jump over it, there'll be a slightly bigger area, but either way is fine. I'm just going to weave this in and out of my top row of mesh. Getting wild in here. I feel like there's so much awkward silence making this video. And I'm trying to keep it flat and not twist it as I go around. It's not a big deal if it twists or not, just depends really on if that's going to bug the bejesus out of you or not. Okay, perfect. I'm going to leave mine there so it's coming out the stitch next to this one. If you happen to line up differently, like both you have to go through the next one and they both come out the same one, that's fine too, because not everybody has the same number of rounds going on. Or number of loops in their rounds. Because we have different base lengths possibly, depending on how big your yoga mat is. All right, so we're just going to flatten this out, taking it back down to the base. I may have made my strap a little long. That's all right. It'll survive. Okay. So back down to the base. I have this big tail yet, and I want to tack this down right next to it. You could use a stitch marker to hold that down in place if you'd like. Let's get this threaded up again. You noticed I make a lot of sound effects. Sound effects make life more interesting, I feel like. All right, so I'm going to send that down there and then bring it up through the bottom of this strap. I'm trying not to split yarn. And then I want to loop that in a couple times. And we're going to go one stitch over into the other edge. Of my strap. And I'm pulling these stitches pretty tight as I do this. Because there is going to be some weight on here and it'll stretch out otherwise. So again, I'm going to end that on the inside. I'm going to flip my whole bag inside out again. Okay, so I have these two tails nearish each other. I want them to be right next to each other. So I still have the needle on this one. I'm going to follow some stitches to get over by the first tail. All right, so normally I'm not a huge fan of knots in crochet work, but this is going to be my exception. That strap is going to be a weight-bearing situation. It's going to have a lot of tension on it. So I'm going to tie these two tails together in a nice tight little knot. Double knot that sucker. Triple knot it if you want. Okay, and then I'm going to sew both these tails in. It's getting a little hairy around here. That's because I have sewn a lot of stuff in right over there. So we need to get away from that area. Alright, so sew both your tails under and trim them off. And I'll see you in a minute. Now that you've got those ends sewn in and tidied up, enjoy using your brand new yoga mat bag you made with your own two hands.